Kagrenac was the chief tonal architect of the Dwemer. Essentially, he was a mad scientist who tried to build a god using the heart of Lorkhan, but instead he just kinda made his entire race vanish. The Maormer, or Sea Elves, live on an island south of the Somerset Isles called Pioneer. They're very proficient at storm magic and use something known as snake magic to tame sea serpents. They also do sailing. Yeah, they're Sea Elves, you get the idea. Alright, in alphabetical order, Akatosh, Arkay, Debella, Julianos, Kinnereth, Mara, Stendar, Zenithar, and Talos. So the Dark Elves worship 3 Daedra: Mephala, Azura, and Boethia. From their point of view, these are the Good Daedra. They're also known as the Reclamations, now that they are once again the main religious focus, now that the Tribunal are gone. So these Dwemer had this shield they made to fight a powerful mage called Shalador, because it's good against magic, but then they lost it when they fought him, and now Peryite just gives it to people for some reason. Yeah, that's about all we got. It's very well written. So the High Elves used to worship this guy called Kagrenac, and he ended up having a fight with Boethia, and Boethia, or maybe Mephala, it's all a little hazy, killed him. But anyway, Boethia then eats Kagrenac, and, well, in the words of Shrek, better out than in, and Malacath was born. Also, his followers rubbed the poop on themselves and became orcs. So this dude Tiber Septim is a general to this other dude called Kulakane who wants to become emperor, but then he dies in a totally not suspicious assassination. So Tiber Septim thought, well, I guess I'll be emperor now, and he goes and starts conquering places. Then he goes over to Morrowind and talks to Vivec, who gives him a big robot called the Numidium, and he goes and bullies the High Elves with it. Also, he has a dragon at some point. Anyway, after he's done conquering everywhere, he goes and dies, and his grandson takes over, and then he dies, and his cousin takes over. So none of the Septim Emperors actually descended from Tiber Septim, so the bloodline is all just kind of bullshit, really. So southwest of Tamriel, there is a lovely place called Thras, home to some lovely slug people. These slug folk will do anything if they get some... for fuck's sake. These slugfolk will do anything if they can get some kind of benefit from it. They're apparently great actors though. They're also very skilled in necromancy and once killed more than half the population of Tamriel in the first era. In the first era with a plague. So you have these dark elves who worshipped Mephala, the Prince of Murder, and some other stuff that's less relevant, and they like to kill people, but they didn't want to get in trouble, so they made an organization called the Morag Tong so they could do it legally. But then some of them just thought, hey, this Night Mother woman who just showed up is kinda cool, so they left and worshipped her and Sithis instead. But they still wanted to kill people, so they had to change their name. So broadly speaking, way back in the day, this guy Lorkhan wanted to make Nirn, but to do it he had to get some of his fellow gods to give up their power for it, and the ones that did are the Aedra, the ones that didn't are the Daedra. Daedra being Elven for not our ancestors, whilst Aedra means our ancestors.
So Dagoth, also known as Vorin Dagoth in life, and whom Vivec will later come... You know what, I'm reading this from the wiki, I'm not going to read it from the wiki, I'm just going to think of Dagoth's history on my own, because I'm a grown man. So Dagoth was essentially this fella with chiseled abs and a gold mask. So if you have both of those, anyone will listen to you, including gods, so they just made him a god. His main goal was to drive the Empire out of Morrowind. He also has this big thing called a Kulakane who just chills out in the back. I think he's important to lore, but I don't know, he's just a big skeleton thing that hangs out. He wanted to free the land of the cursed false gods. Apparently people are convinced he's pretty charismatic. Oh yeah, Kulakane's a god. So Dagoth essentially wants to unite the Dunmer, free the land of the cursed false gods. He just hangs out in Red Mountain and sends out sleepers and dreamers to do his bidding. And the job of the dreamers is to just stop you on the street and give you a bit of a spook through long paragraphs of exposition. It's very well detailed, it's a great way to tell a story. It scares me every time. So essentially as Nerevar you get a bunch of tools from Vivec. He actually does something useful. He gives you a raid card and you have to get Sunder and Keening yourself, and then you can take down Dagoth. There's my short summary of the Morrowind story. I hope you liked it.
It's more like Baal's So Dragon Break is an event in which time stops working properly. It can be caused by, well, whatever is convenient for the writers, but essentially what happens is during a Dragon Break, an unknown number of timelines and events can all happen at once, and then at the end of the Dragon Break, they're all put back into one timeline, but everything still happened, no matter how conflicting it may be. The House of Troubles is the name collectively given by the Dark Elves to the 4 testing gods, Malacath, Sheogorath, Mehrunes Dagon, and Molag Bal. Each prince represents a test: Malacath, physical; Sheogorath, mental; Dagon, the land; and Molag Bal, corruption and impurity. So you know Sithis, the skeleton guy that Dark Brotherhood worship? Yeah, so basically he had a kid called Lorkhan who, along with the Aedra and Daedra, is a god. And he thought everything was boring, so he figured he'd go make Nirn. But then he had to trick some of the other gods into giving up their power. Those are the Aedra. So then the Aedra got annoyed and reasonably sat down with Lorkhan and told him they didn't appreciate that very much. Nah, I'm just kidding. They killed him and ripped his heart out, and then Auriel shot it with his bow and it landed and made a red mountain. Alright, so we have, in alphabetical order of course, Azura, Boethia, Clavicus Vile, Horaeus Mora, Hursine, Jigalag, Malacath, Mehrunes Dagon, Mephala, Meridia, Molag Bal, Namira, Nocturnal, Peryite, Sanguine, Sheogorath, and Vaermina.